Actually, before we start, I will just, welcome. I'm Dorian Solot. I live in the Mansion neighborhood, which is part of the South End. We are still possibly open to a volunteer timekeeper for tonight. Marshall is willing to be our timekeeper, but if somebody is excited about having the job of being timekeeper and holding up a sign, which you could write on a piece of paper that says 30 seconds and time's up, we welcome volunteers. So you can raise your hand or turn on your camera and wave at us if you are like, that would be a great role. I would enjoy doing that. And if not, Marshall is happy to do it. Welcome to all of our attendees today. Welcome to our candidates, Derek Johnson and Josh Marcel. Welcome to those watching the recording of this event who weren't able to be with us today. I know a bunch of people told me that was their plan. Thank you also to Danielle Hilly, who will be our moderator and facilitator today, a really important job. So this is an opportunity to get to know our two candidates for Common Council for our second ward in Albany. As you all know, the Democratic primary is this month. Election day is June 24th, and early voting opens in 1 week. So we are getting very close now. You are welcome and encouraged to have your cameras on if you would like to. That is totally up to you. If you'd rather keep it off, of course, that's okay. But I do think it's kind of nice to see each other because this really is all about our geographic community, knowing who lives around us. It would have been nice to all be together in one room, but we figured that given the short planning timeline, and sometimes it's easier for people, I think, to be able to hop on a Zoom from lots of different locations. So our two candidates are each running to represent our ward on the Albany Common Council. Common Council in Albany has 15 wards, and each member serves a 4-year term. Councilmember Johnson is nearing the end of his second term and has represented our ward since 2018. The Common Council, I had a lot of questions about this, so I learned a lot this morning. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. My phone had just frozen.
Oh, no worries. Common Council is basically the legislative branch of Albany city government. That was really helpful to me to understand how this works. So Common Council makes laws, can repeal laws, votes to approve the city's budget, sets property tax rates, and of course represents our ward in city government. So this is our plan in terms of format for this afternoon. This is a forum and not a debate. We are planning to be together for 1 hour. We will invite each candidate to make an opening statement of up to 2 minutes. And then Danielle has one general question to kick us off for each candidate. And then we really wanted to allocate the vast majority of our time for Q&A so that the community can really ask questions and hear from our two candidates. I know Danielle also has some general questions prepared that she may sprinkle in here and there, especially if there are general topics that have important topics that haven't been addressed, that she could pull out those questions at the end. We will only be taking questions from the chat, not out loud. So you all get to stay muted. You can start typing your questions in the chat anytime you want to. Our default will be that both candidates will respond to each question that is entered. But if you had a question that was really intended just for one candidate or the other, you can indicate that in the chat. And Danielle will make sure that we maintain balance if we're asking questions just of one candidate or the other. In general, the plan will be that Danielle will just read the questions in the order that they were entered in the chat. But of course, she has discretion to skip over a question if it just feels like that's a duplicate. We already talked about that, or we really want to make sure that we address a broader range of topics. And then each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to each question. I think the plan, we didn't have any other volunteers, right? So Marshall will be our timekeeper and he will hold up signs indicating 30 seconds and time's up. And we will alternate which candidate speaks first. Before we started, we were planning a coin flip, but Mr. Johnson generously said, I'll let Derek choose if he would like to go first or second. And Josh chose to speak second. So I will hand things over to Danielle to kick off our opening statements. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. Marshall, are you ready? So thank you guys all for joining us. Derek will go first. You have 2 minutes for your opening statement and you can begin now.
Thank you, Danielle. Hello, my name is Derek Johnson, and I'm your councilman for the second ward. I've been your councilman for the last 8 years. When I first inherited the council position, it was a lot going on in our ward where the arrows were going in the directions of the individuals that were shooting the arrows. So in the last 8 years, we have been able to develop a network where the neighborhood community coordinators and I have been in constant communication, working through various issues that come up from time to time. everyone knows that the common council position is a part-time position. However, I work in the second ward. I live in the second ward. I'm in the second ward all day long. There's no way that this position is a part-time job. And I've been able to, in the last 8 years, we went through a pandemic together. We, on a personal level, I lost my mom. And then people have been wondering, they haven't seen me in the last year as much as they would have liked. I had some personal health issues, and to be here today is just a testament of my will to serve this body that I represent. And I'm looking forward to, after working for 8 years with an administration, that whenever we presented our needs or our wants, all we heard was that that isn't high on my list of priorities. I'm looking forward to a new administration coming in and addressing some of the constant issues that we have been dealing with. In this time, I have been out front dealing with the issue that the mission brings to our neighborhood. I've led that conversation, and am excited to this point because it hasn't been business as normal for that process. So I'm excited about what's to come for the second ward. There's a lot of good things going on, and some people got to understand that the
Derek,
ward, yes,
that's your time.
2 minutes? Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you. Josh?
All right. Well, I'll start by saying hello to everybody, and Councilman Johnson, thank you so much for having to do this today. And so sorry for the loss of your mother, and I'm glad to hear that your health journey is doing a lot better. But to introduce myself, my name is Josh Marcel. I am a resident of the Second Ward. I've been living in the Second Ward now since about 2023. My day job, I work for the New York State Senate, where I am legislative director for Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins. I am a lifelong resident of the Capital Region, and I'm hoping to bring my understanding of the area, as well as my legislative and policy expertise, to City Hall to address some issues we are seeing around the ward and the city itself, mainly public safety, housing affordability and availability, not just to rent, but also to own, increased economic opportunity for the ward, especially in the South End, with upcoming projects across the next decade, including the reimagining of 787, whatever's going to happen with the parking lot district, also known as Liberty Park, and in Governor Hochul's proposed $200 million investment into downtown Albany, hoping to make sure that a decent chunk of that gets spent in our ward and provides economic opportunity for our area. At the same time, I'm going to fight to make sure that the South End has everything that other neighborhoods in the city have and every neighborhood it deserves, including a grocery store, a pharmacy, and a community center. Thank you all for joining today or viewing before you go out and cast your vote. And I'm hoping that we can all work together to make the second ward work for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Josh. So we're going to move on to our very first question. This is one that I've prepared. Josh, you went second on the introduction, so you'll go first on this question. This question relates to neighborhood issues. What are the top 3 issues you believe are facing the second ward, and what would you do to address them? You have 1 minute.
Great, thank you. So I would say probably very close to the issues I'm running on. Again, public safety, housing affordability and availability, as well as the lack of primary resources that every other neighborhood has. For public safety, I am going to take a focus on violent crime specifically. I'd like to work with our private and public partners to increase the amount of gun buyback time or programs that we have every year, as well as focusing on the root causes of other nonviolent crimes, especially homelessness and addiction. For housing affordability and availability, we're going to have to work on increasing the amount of housing we have while also not pricing people out of our ward and keeping the character of the neighborhood. And then, for grocery store purposes, talking with whoever we need to talk to and figuring out how we can make sure the South End has what it deserves. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Josh. Derek, before I reread the question for you, I just want to remind everybody that you can put chat questions into the chat. I do have additional prepared ones if that goes too slowly, but I would really like to be able to read off the questions that you guys have brought to this forum. Derek, I'm going to read that question for you again. It says, what are the top 3 issues you believe are facing the second ward, and what would you do to address them?
Thank you. The top 3 issues that I believe is mental health, mental health crisis that we're dealing with, also gun violence, and lastly, I would say the quality of life, the non-enforcement of quality of life crimes. I think that is they're pushing people to our area and then they're ignoring them. And how I would address them is continue to push for relocation of the mission, to continue the work that I'm doing with APD, with the sheriffs, with the people, and also just to keep on bringing to the attention of the ears of the powers that may be what's going on exactly in our community. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So I have our first question in the chat. Derek, this one will start with you. The question is, what would you do to facilitate home ownership for local renters and reduce the negative effects of absentee landlords?
Well, one of the things that I try to do is encourage people to participate in the first-time owners program. That's one of the things that I think that the city has to offer, and to encourage people to participate in that. And what was the second part of the question?
The second part of the question was, what will you do to reduce the negative effects of absentee landlords?
Just continue to put pressure on the county and the city, because we have people who have jobs to manage that type of stuff, and just to keep making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Wonderful. Josh, I will reread this question for you. What would you do to facilitate home ownership for local renters and reduce the negative effects of absentee landlords? Oh, he's muted. Still muted.
Sorry, I can fix that. Hold on a second.
Apologies, I had muted myself after my answer. I won't do that again. So,
would you like me to read it again?
I have it. I have the chat up, so I appreciate it. Thanks. I agree with Councilmember Johnson that there are a lot of existing programs that I would work to use to make sure that people who have the current opportunity to buy a home that they are currently renting are able to use those opportunities. But at the same time, I would heavily encourage rent-to-own situations, but we have to make sure that those agreements are enforceable. I've had people in my life who have been in a situation where their landlord promised them a rent-to-own situation, but something came up and they ended up needing to keep the property. So, seeing how the city can maybe get involved in a draft sort of contract situation, just to create accountability in that way. Absentee landlords is also a major problem we have, as we're not very close to the UAlbany campuses, but as a college city, we have a lot of absentee landlords with and companies just holding on to a lot of properties. If they're not taking advantage, we have to look into that.
Thank you so much. Josh, this will be your question to begin. Oh, sorry.
If I could just jump in real quick. Josh and DJ, I fixed it so you should be able to mute and unmute at will. So sorry about that earlier.
Perfect.
Wonderful. So I have another question in the chat. I'm going to broaden this one a bit. Several areas within the second ward have had some very well publicized issues, whether it's crime, quality of life, panhandling, stuff like along those lines that people feel impacts negatively depending on their views of these different issues. What would you do to help improve these areas which are seeing these type of problems?
Of course, and I'm going first again, right? Because
Correct.
Perfect. So, it is a serious problem we are seeing. I live right on State Street. In my walk to and from work every day, I have a group of regular folks who, uh, are in need, and I help out when I can. And it is tough for me when I can't help them. But again, the dollar or so I'm able to give from time to time is not fixing the issues. We need to use the power of the city and the county to facilitate the help that people truly need. I know there is the Navigate Albany system up on Lark Street that's also partnered with the rest of the county homelessness efforts, and we need to make sure that those efforts are being targeted towards the areas of the second ward that are in the most need in terms of homelessness and addiction services, and then whatever we can do to again increase our housing availability while not pricing people out. We need affordable housing to solve this issue over the long term.
Thank you, Josh. Derek, do you need me to re-ask the question? Sorry. Okay, then you
Oh.
may begin.
So as a community member that is I move throughout the community. A lot of times, my presence. I go out and talk to people, and you try to find like it's some people that are in those situations that they are really looking for help, and once that's an opportunity to connect them with services. If I can't do it from my presence, then I'll call the neighborhood beat cop. I'll talk to the commander and use enforcement to address the issue that has been brought to my attention. So, a lot of times if you go out there and you have a conversation with them and let them know that they're having a negative effect on people, they do stuff about it. So one of the things that I wanted to address is the mission that is bringing people to our neighborhood without a plan for them. So those are the type of things that I think that if we deal with the big issue, a lot of the it'll have an effect in many different directions.
Thank you so much, Derek. The next question I have here. Okay, wait, there I am. The next question, Derek, this goes to you first. How will you work with the new mayor, even if you don't agree with what they are proposing? Are you willing to work together, even if you disagree?
I'm always willing to work together through disagreements where you see potential for us to agree to disagree. I find in my first 8 years, no matter what I said, it fell on deaf ears. So that was frustrating. And like I said, I look forward to the opportunity to be heard and for my information to be received, and for the leader of this city to do with the equity agenda, which I was a part of passing, calls for, balance throughout the city. I'm not looking for a mayor just to do everything for the second ward. I'm looking for balance throughout the city because that's a city that thrives. We don't just want to survive anymore. We want to understand what thriving is like.
Thank you, Derek. Josh, do you require the question to be reread?
Nope, I can get started. I am very excited to see, such a great turnout for our mayoral election. We have a lot of great candidate choices, but we are all individual people with things we believe in and from our different walks of life. There is not going to be 100% agreement with anyone, and part of any sort of work getting done, whether it be private sector, public sector, or government, is seeing where the disagreements are, hashing those out, and coming to a final product that works for, and benefits the most people. The only way things get done in government is through compromise, and compromise is going to leave both sides somewhat upset, but hopefully it creates an end product that benefits as many people as possible. So I'm happy to work with whoever, regardless of how much we agree or disagree.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Josh. So this question starts with you, Josh, and then we'll go to Derek. Will you, Will you advocate for increased funding or partnership with nonprofits to provide mental health and substance abuse services to those in need?
Great question. Again, happy to do whatever is necessary and beneficial for the people of the city and the entire county to, tackle the major issues we've seen, both in recent years and, for a very long time. Our mental health issues, our substance use and addiction issues, housing issues. It requires taking a look at what nonprofit partners we already have good relationships with and what funding we already have set aside for these issues, making sure that that's all being spent properly and everyone is, being assigned with the proper tasks to benefit everyone. And if there seems to be a need for either more funding or more partnerships, that, we're lucky to have so many great people around here doing great work that why not take advantage of it?
Thank you, Josh. Derek?
Absolutely, I will continue to work with the Lisa Goods, the Dr. Goods, and the Deborah Eli's of the community that are dealing with trauma and substance abuse and mental health. I encourage my parents to utilize the children's mental health services that are available. And like I said, a lot of times is what you find is connecting people with things that's there for them that they don't know that's there, is another issue that we're dealing with our community, that we're very disconnected with local government.
Thank you so much, Derek. Derek, this next question starts with you. How do you plan to involve community members in the decision-making process related to items of need for the second ward?
So historically, I don't make decisions without reaching out and talking to key players in the community. Unfortunately, this administration a lot of times comes to us at the 12th hour or 11th hour, and they don't give us the option to hold community meetings to have those type of forums where more people. But my role as a resident, and I'm so active and moving around, I get to talk to so many people. A lot of times, I already hear how people certain topics. So I will continue to connect with the voices of the four quarters of our ward, which are the leaders of our neighborhood association.
Thank you so much, Derek. Josh?
Yes. So if I have the privilege of serving as Albany Common Council member for the second ward, there are no steps that I would take without making sure that the public is aware and has had a say in my final decision. It is important to, as a public representative, to represent every action you take is representative of the public. I want to make sure that I'm listening. I'm always available for a conversation on any key issues, and that will be through attending meetings with neighborhood associations, being out talking to as many people as possible, as well as utilizing our newer technologies with social media, making sure people who may not even know something's going on, maybe they swipe up on their For You page and they see me there talking about a matter, where I stand on it, and that I'm open for conversation until a final vote is had. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Josh. So the next question is going to be for you, Josh. What are your feelings about the services available in the neighborhood? What we already have here?
That's a
I
great.
think I should clarify that the services available. No, that's right. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
Making sure it makes sense in my head.
Of course. So I guess it depends on exactly what you mean by services. If we're talking about city offered services, I have heard as I've been campaigning, we are seeing at least what is perceived to be not as adequate care being given to our ward than in other places in the city, whether it be potholes and road maintenance, sidewalks, crosswalks, trash, things like that. And, if I have the opportunity, I'll be looking into it. And if it's true, unacceptable. Everyone should be receiving the same amount of services from the city. At the same time, if we look at our opportunities with nonprofits, we do have a lot of wonderful groups that are centered in our area that we benefit from. We would just want to make sure that they are providing the same sort of adequate services and that it fits with the character of the neighborhood.
So I'm going to elaborate on that a little bit more before Derek goes and give you the opportunity to speak about that. And then Derek will be given the extra 30 seconds to also talk about it. When speaking of services, not necessarily just the city services, because those are not the only services that are located in the second ward. So if we're not talking about city services, what are your feelings about the services available in the second ward?
Sure. Again, as I had said, we have a lot of groups that are, taking time out of their day to volunteer and provide great services for our area. I was just at Grant Street this morning, meeting with the, I believe, Grant Street Arts. They're putting together a community center at the old church on Grant Street, and it's amazing to see the work that people are doing, just for the good of their community. And I'm happy to continue to help out, make sure the city can help them out as much as possible to provide great services for our residents.
Thank you so much. Derek, do you need me to repeat the whole thing?
No, I could just take it. So I'm going to say one of my concerns is I think that services are being dominated by the mission in there. If you look at fire and you look at police, they're constantly at the mission, and that's problematic in itself. Now, some of the services that I see, sometimes I feel are enabling folks in our neighborhood. And another concern that I have is a lot of times that you see people from different wards coming down, taking advantage of things that are specified for the second ward, and they end up in other people's hands. And when I think about that, I just think about the Capital South Campus Center that was created to serve the streets that are connected to the building, and it has yet to come close to reaching that. So these are some of the things that I see and that are dominating the services.
Thank you, Derek. The next question is a combination. It is part for Derek and part for Josh. So Derek, you start this one. I'm going to read your half of it, and then Josh, I'm going to read your half of it. So Derek, what are you most proud of as an accomplishment as a Common Council member?
My biggest definitely being part of the equity agenda. I think my biggest accomplishment, we didn't benefit from it, is my advocacy for community centers in the city of Albany has been, I've been relentless on that matter. And as a result of it, we have 2 community centers. I can remember walking in the mayor's office the first time I had a meeting with her, and she asked me, "What's my grand slam?" I said, "A community center." She said, "Oh, we don't have money for that." But within 8 years, they have found money for 2 additional community centers. Well, 1 new community center and an improvement of a existing community center. So I would like to say, even though we didn't benefit from it, 2 community centers are coming to Albany, and our Albany residents are going to benefit. And lastly, we have a resolution. We have been approved to have a community center, and what we need from the ward is some support so we can get that to come to fruition. Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. The second half of that question, Josh, is what have you accomplished in your life or in your political career?
Of course. So I'd say my political career is probably a little too short to talk about any of my proudest accomplishments, but in my life, I would say my proudest accomplishment is all of the work I've been able to do for the people of the state of New York while working for the New York State Senate and for Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins. It's been truly the privilege of a lifetime. I have always seen myself as someone dedicated to public service and just being able to help out in the ways that I can. You know, I mostly do a lot of her local stuff, so helping out her area, which is Lower Westchester County in Yonkers, but just all the work that I do and the team that I work with has just really been an absolute pleasure and some of the proudest moments of my life.
Thank you, Josh. Marshall, if you could just do me a favor, when you hit time, can you say time? Because when I pull the chat up, I can't see you. Thank you. Let me get our next question here. So there are several people in our neighbor. Wait, Josh, this is your first. Your go first. So there are many people in our neighborhood and our ward who are opposed to the expansion of the mission. That being said, Albany does need to be able to support people who aren't homed. So if not the mission, where do you believe that this support from the city can come from? And how would you assist in expanding services in different parts of the city?
Of course. Yes. As I've been going around, I have, I am happy with I've seen, pride in the ability to help out as much as our community can with the city mission, but also an understanding that this can't, the issues of the city can't just fall on the backs and on the hard work of the people living in the second ward. So it is important to distribute the aid around the city to key areas, because not all of the city's problems exist in the second ward. We have issues of housing, housing availability and addiction issues across the city and across the country. So it's important to work with the city and the county to ensure that there are places all over the city that people can go where they're experiencing any sort of crisis, whether it be housing crisis or addiction crisis, and receive the help that they need and make sure that it's not just being consolidated into one area at a time.
Thank you very much, Josh. Derek?
Can you read that question again? I was listening to his answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me just 1 second to pull that back up. So as you're aware, there's many people in the Mansion neighborhood and in the second ward who are strongly opposed to an expansion of the mission. However, that being said, the city does need more support, does need to provide more support for folks without a home. If it's not the mission, where would that support be, and how would you work for the expansions of those services in different parts of the city?
So recently I made a visit to the county legislator and I advocated because the mental health falls under the county, and not to say that the city doesn't have a responsibility, but what I'm looking for is people who are responsible to take charge on the things that they're responsible for. I agree that homelessness is a serious issue, and my concern is that it's concentrated in just one part of Albany. And, it's kind of confusing when it says the city mission, but yet the city doesn't play a role in what goes on in the mission. So my expectation is if they're going to continue to allow that mission to operate in the manner that it is, that the city and the county figure out how to support it so it doesn't just become an eyesore that has become for the second ward.
Thank you so much, Derek. So I'm going to throw a question in here just because I'd like a little bit more elaboration on community engagement from each of you. Derek, you would go first for this one. Josh, this is your first run, so what I'm looking for is to know what your community involvement is already. So Derek, how are you working with the community, whether it's in your elected position or in your personal life? Like what is your engagement with the community, advocacy, that kind of work? And Josh, will be the same for you. And I'm specifically talking about our wards and the projects, the nonprofits, all of those services that are here. So Derek, if you could go first.
Thank you. Derek Johnson. I am the face of Saturday Morning Basketball with Books. It's a program that we have down at Giffen Elementary, but really it's just, you know, the only adult that's there consistently every Saturday is myself. Historically, the city used to provide Saturday morning basketball, but you know, those one of those programs that they took away. Also, in the summertime, I am involved with the Todd Holloway Summer League, which is held on Lincoln Park, and we provide opportunities for all our kids to participate in basketball. My involvement in the community is I'm everywhere. I was born in this community. I was raised in this community. I wasn't born in here. I was raised in this community, and I just coming outside, I just bump into information all day long. So a lot of times I hear about stuff and I take care of it. Other things that I do, I pick up kids that can't make it to school and bring them home.
Time,
So
Derek.
thank you.
Sorry. Josh?
Of course. So, along with my outside of work roles for the South End and the Second Ward, I am on the board of the Albany Riverfront Collaborative, which is part of the larger umbrella group of organizations known as Reimagine Albany. My attention has been focused on the Reimagine 787 project, which will have, you know, unimaginable at the moment transformative impacts to downtown Albany and primarily the South End, which saw a huge cut off from the rest of the city when 787 was built back in the 70s. So the goal of Albany Riverfront Collaborative is to make sure we are working with the Department of Transportation and other groups to get out as much information as possible to local groups within communities like the South End and Arbor Hill that, again, were most disadvantaged by, and to give that information out. Time.
Thank you. The next question, I'm going to give one to you, Josh. That's for you because there is a question in there that is for Derek's. So, Josh, what will you do if elected to build trust and improve relationships between the city government and historically underserved communities in the ward?
Of course. Well, the first thing I can do before establishing trust with the rest of the city is just establishing trust between the constituents and myself. You know, as a not only am I doing my job as the public's representative within the city, I can serve as a representative of the city to the people of the Second Ward if elected common council person, showing up, making sure I am always available, showing that I am working for the people, which means the government, in a way, is working for the people. From there, the only way at this point is to show results. You know, getting out, talking is very important, but it needs to also be backed up with results, you know, showing that government is working for people. And that is, I firmly believe that government at its best is the best way to help out people. So it's time to put my money where my mouth is then.
Thank you very much, Josh. Derek, the chat question for you is that residents have heard concerns from some members of the community that they don't see you as much in the Mansion part of the ward, that you haven't been in attendance to Mansion neighborhood meetings and haven't been a visible part in some of the major neighborhood issues like traffic calming on Grand Street or the full-time thief who has been taking packages and entering homes and cars, where the members know that you're subscribed to the email list. So you receive all the meeting announcements and they would like to know what your response is to this.
Yes. One of the conflicts is that they scheduled a meeting at the same time that we have caucus on Wednesday. So some of those Wednesdays we have caucus. So that's one of the concerns. That's one of the reasons why there's a conflict in scheduling. Number two, the concerns that you made about the packages being, when it's brought to my attention, we work right through it. You know, the first time that I was shown a video, I knew who the kids were, so I was able to get the packages returned. And due to the presence, the Mansion neighborhood is one of the most organized parts of our ward, and so a lot of times the information comes to me when I get phone calls. Immediately, I'm calling people back within 24 hours, and sometimes I'm getting solutions to them right on the phone while we're on the phone. So my lack of presence is due to the fact that
So that's time,
the
Derek.
need is no problem.
Sorry about that.
It's
Thank you for
okay.
your answer. The next question in here is for both candidates. Actually, Derek, I'm going to go you first because they are split into two questions here. Derek, what would you say to those who would say you have been in that seat for at least 8 years, but the South End is still disadvantaged and underserved?
Well, I would say this: if I had the key to do some of the things that I wanted to do, we have put forth resolutions that all 15. Well, we got support to get them passed, and the corner office has yet to execute them. We don't have the authority to execute the plan. We don't have control over the budget. All we can do is pass or fail. The way that this city has been ran, it's been ran by one person. And so the charters, we have to address the charters so that the work that council people have been doing can show in terms of what people are truly looking for. When you're a member one of 15, it's hard for you to be able to do all of the things that you want to do. And then once again, when you have an administration that is not honoring the things that they sold us to get in that position is bothersome. And then the fact that our community
Derek,
is what.
that's time. The next question is for Josh. What would you say to critics that say you just moved to this ward compared to DJ, who has been in the forefront of this fight for the last decade?
I appreciate the question. You know, I am a newer resident. I am hoping that, you know, the work I've been doing, both with the Albany Riverfront Collaborative, but as well as my work on this campaign trail, is speaking for itself. But at the same time, it is my job as a newcomer to the community, relatively speaking, as well as the challenger in a Democratic primary, to prove myself. I've been trying to meet as many people door to door as possible. The campaign is not yet done. If I have not made it to your home yet, I hope to be seeing you within the next 2 weeks, and I am happy to discuss with anyone as long as possible their thoughts, their feelings, their concerns regarding just both the issues and myself as a relative newcomer. And you know, again, it's my job to prove myself, and I'm working every day to do it.
Thank you very much, Josh. This next question will come to you. How can you ensure that the 200 million for the downtown development makes it past the MVP and supports existing businesses and gets new ones?
Of course. So I will have to go back and check with the exact language, but I believe this $200 million being set for downtown Albany includes at least the 1 mile, you know, radius around the government buildings and the Capitol building itself. That does include parts of the South End beyond the MVP arena, and it is, you know, it will be my job to fight both in City Hall and getting meetings with the governor and an executive branch of the state to show that this area of the South End and the Second Ward is, has the most need and would see the most benefits out of this money. And then from there, it's making sure that whoever gets the contracts for these projects is coming out to our communities and making sure that they are doing things that the community agrees how that money should be spent.
Thank you so much, Josh. Derek?
Yes, so my ability to be vocal to make sure that money isn't spent in reverse. I think that a lot of times when you see surveys, those are things that our community just frowns upon because no matter what we put down, it doesn't seem to matriculate to the needs that we have been voicing. So my goal is to I have been reaching out to staff that works for the governor, being that I am her council person, to make sure that when they come into the neighborhood, that they talk to the elected official as well.
Thank you. Derek, this next one will come to you first. So this is a split one. It's both related to communicating with the community. So Derek, how do you currently communicate your activities? And then Josh, when it's your turn, what is your plan on how you will communicate your activities with constituents?
So again, I talk to the neighborhood association. I also have a lot of followers on my social media, Facebook. I do a lot of communicating through that. And then plus just moving through the neighborhood, word of mouth. Word of mouth has been the strongest way to communicate in our community because a lot of people don't come to meetings. A lot of people don't read mailers. A lot of people don't follow up on verbal promises that they made. So my thing, I have community meetings all day, every day, individual ones.
Thank you very much, Josh.
Of course. So if elected, it would be my job to make sure I'm reaching as many constituents as possible, taking advantage of existing means that have seen success is one way I would do that. Email listservs, social media, similar to Councilman Johnson, expanding beyond Facebook. I've been most of my campaigning has been through Instagram, but I've also been posting on Facebook, extending on to social media platforms that most people get their news from, whether I like it or not. TikTok, even Snapchat, a lot of people just reaching as far as possible. And similar to how Councilman Johnson does it, putting the rubber to the road and talking to as many people as possible throughout the week.
Thank you very much. So we have a follow-up on some of the criminal activity that we see. So Josh will go first. We actually have several thieves that have been roaming through our neighborhoods. They are adults. Many of them have substance abuse or mental health issues. And what are your thoughts on how to address individuals who are crime prone but also refuse services?
Yes. So I know I was at an event yesterday where there was some talk about this a similar situation like this. You know, it does become difficult when you offer services to someone, but they do not take advantage of those services. Mental health, that is a much bigger issue, and working with our partners in the county, it will be definitely important. When it comes to, again, non-violent crimes of need in the sense of substance abuse, working with our court systems to, divert away from prison. We don't want to send anyone to prison that it won't make their lives better. But those diversion tracks that say, instead of prison time, you need to go to substance abuse treatment and going that route, taking advantage of things like that.
Derek?
we passed a resolution that had a 5-point
Derek,
plan,
we can't
and
see you.
because I was trying to use my, all right. So we passed a resolution that has a 5-point plan that addresses quality of life issues. And once again, for whatever reason, APD is not utilizing it. So it has been frustrating that these similar problems keep on going on. We've addressed the issue in our resolution, and so I have to put words on it because it looks like we're not doing our part. When we are doing our part, we just don't have the authority to enforce it. So I will continue calling and asking the DA to enforce, even if it's just inconveniencing people for doing these low-level quality of life crimes.
Thank you, Derek. So we're gonna have, I have one more in the chat that we're gonna ask, and then I have 2 commitment questions that basically go together. So the question, Derek, will start with you. As a resident of your respective neighborhood, what do you feel makes you most qualified to be the voice of the South End residents?
I think just my work to this point, as far as the voice, when you hear people say, I want to be a council person so I can advocate for my community like Councilman Johnson, that says other people are noticing. And the narrative that I'm not present in the community is sad because that's a few people choice. And some of the people that say that they don't see me, they see me every day. So I'm always open to hearing people's concerns. If you have a legitimate concern, share it, and you know, it's my job to do something about it.
Thank you, Derek. Josh, same question.
Of course. So when it comes to the position of Common Council member, I would say, you know, I believe that my legislative and policy background makes me an ideal candidate for the position of Common Council member, where, you know, it is my job, again, to go out to the community, talk to as many people as possible and find the true issues, and then taking that to City Hall, being the representative of those issues and saying, this is how we should work on addressing those issues. And so I believe that that would help me to be a adequate voice for all the residents of the South End in the Second Ward, you know, bringing up the issues we see around our city and our ward, and then working to address them as quickly and as efficiently as possible.
Sorry about that. My mute didn't want to come off. So Josh, this is, well, you'll start this question. And then I just have one more of how to contact question, which is just going to be the best way. So what would you, so the first question, Josh, is what would you publicly commit today not to run for higher office or move to another ward for a different political opportunity during your term if elected?
I would you know, that's quite the question. I didn't expect it to come up, but yeah, I would say I promise to not move away for any sort of any sort of opportunity if I am elected to represent the Second Ward. That, you know, that is a commitment that I must honor, and it is important for me to make sure that the job gets done, and that I serve out the term I was entrusted with. So yes, I promise that. Regard to higher office, I don't see it coming up, but yeah, I would say so.
I'm sorry, can you just clarify the last part with the higher office? You would say so that you wouldn't run for higher office during your term, or you would?
I have, you know, I'd say I have no plans to run for higher office over the next 4 years. Yeah.
Derek, same question for you.
How hard I have no problem saying no. I wouldn't run for any other office. There's still work to be done.
Thank you very much. And if you guys could just let us know what the best way is to reach out to you. Derek?
My number is on the Common Council. I put my cell on there and I answer my phone whenever it rings, with the understanding that I don't know every constituent's number and, you know, to uh, keep up the outstanding, because I keep checks and balances on myself. If somebody calls me from the neighborhood, I got to get that call back to them. So definitely, I will continue answering my phone. The best way to get in contact with me is 518-470-3827.
Josh?
Of course. So right now, as a candidate, the best ways to get in contact with me would either be my campaign social media accounts, all of which are at Josh for Second Ward. I am on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, Blue Sky, and Twitter. I believe that's it. And then you can also reach me at my email, my campaign email, which is Josh For's Second Ward. 4 is FOR, second is the number 2 ND, and that's at protonmail.com.
Thank you so much. Dorian, would you like to do the closing?
I believe we said we would allow them to make closing statements. So
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. 2-minute closing statement. So Josh, you get to go first on this one, and Derek, you will go second. So your 2 minutes starts now.
Great. Well, I just want to first thank the Mansion Neighborhood Association for putting this together. Danielle, thank you so much for being a moderator. Dorian and Marshall, thank you so much for your work to setting this up. You know, it's really important that everyone has the opportunity to hear from both myself and Councilman Johnson before they take their vote later this month. Thank you to everyone who showed up. And thank you to everyone who ended up watching later on any sort of virtual platform that this ends up on. Again, I would just say that I am running to make a big difference for our community. We have a lot of issues that we're seeing, again, public safety issues, housing crisis, mental health crisis, addiction crisis. We're seeing lack of necessary resources in our community like the South End. We have a big fight ahead of us. And, it is my goal as your next common councilman to do my best to address these issues. I promise to be available and accountable, and I'm happy to continue these conversations in person over the next few weeks as we reach Election Day on the 24th, as well as early voting, which starts June 14th. Thank you again for your taking time out of your day.
Thank you so much, Josh. Derek?
Yes, Councilman Johnson, I look forward to continuing the work. I open up the conversation about people's concerns on a personal level, but the record is going to reflect the work that I have done, because at the meetings, I'm present, I'm involved, I'm our voice. I think that in a democratic situation, you don't have control over who wants to run. But I say this: when you come to the second ward, the conversation shouldn't be jumping to the front. When you're new to our ward, it should be about working, trying to become part of the work. And as a city, I think that we are in a bad place, because if you look at every position, it's somebody that is from outside the city of Albany. And one of the first things that we have to fix is that, because some of the issues that have been common today, the council person by themselves cannot change that. And so people need to get familiar and current with charters and how things actually work in the city to understand why we don't see the change. But there has been a number of changes in the second ward over the last 8 years. And when you walk around and you see the South End Children's Cafe, you look at Two Together, you look at the Radix, you look at Youth FX, we're doing things and we're communicating, we're supporting each other. So thank you. I look forward to for the opportunity to continue doing the work. I love what I do, and I'm your guy.
Thank
Well,
you so much, Derek.
yeah, thank you so much to both Derek and Josh for taking some time out of your Saturday to spend with us today. Thank you to everyone who submitted questions and joined us this afternoon. Early voting opens June 14th. Election day is June 24th. Have a great rest of your Saturday, everybody.
Thank you, and good luck.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a great, enjoy the rest of your Saturday.